This time around, the title cards are formatted to be on circus posters. As long as these films' title cards have context, they'll always be due credit. The storm is good at conjuring a foreboding tone before the blissfully sweet tone of the film announces itself. There's no gap at all between the lightning and the thunder. We're not close enough for the speed difference between the two to be negligible. Some may view babies arriving via storks as needless child pandering, but it becomes clear quickly that it adds to the charm. The film may be technically lighter on detail, but it's never a problem, because the character animation is as masterful as ever. That the characters use the minimal number of details needed, with humans often lacking a face, could be a flaw, but it works wonderfully in this context. The half-formed art, if you will, is a suitable counterpart to the wide-eyed innocence and joy the film takes in its streamlined story. Better buckle up, folks, this scene has a bucket load of continuity goose. To begin with, the bear's car goes from green to red. Not to mention the outfit of that worker changes colour during the close-up. It's easy to miss, but the giraffes that board their carriage here can't be seen poking out in the next shot. These two workers lose a finger per hand here, they return moments later. While we're on them, that worker's jacket closes between shots, the hat changes a bit as well. The wagon's footbridge changes from having pads to back it, to having no pads, to changing colour, followed by another colour change, in the same shot. Casey Jr., both visually and in personality, is the epitome of this film's tonal direction. If Snow White was a moving storybook, and Pinocchio was a moving painting, then this film is a moving child's illustration, with a dreamlike quality. Never again was this tone captured so perfectly as here, folks. The caboose loses one of its windows for a short moment here. Something animation, even Disney animation, rarely gets credit for is the sound mixing. It's so good for Casey Jr., it feels like he's driving past you. The train goes from having no people, to having no people again. Come to think of it, that's ridiculously unsafe for all those people to be perched on the train like that. They'll fall off pretty fast. Casey Jr.'s train changes a fair few times as well. The blue car after the elephant car is missing here. We don't get a reason why Mr. Stork is delivering Dumbo a day behind. Not a problem, of course, but still. Both times we see a United States map, Kentucky is where Tennessee should be. I'm not even American, and I spotted that without having to look it up. For just a few moments, the clouds go all static on us, on a moving train. It should be said that Mr. Stork is a charming minor character. He makes it easy to believe he personally delivers because he takes pride in his job. Any particular reason the circus owners have the other elephants in a confined part of the wagon? Mr. Stork requires a delivery signature? The others just drop their deliveries off. This is the kind of thing even kids notice, folks. We don't see the male hook that snatches Mr. Stork away here. We should, given where he's caught moments later. The caboose's flag changes colour from red to white. Then, it vanishes. Then the second colour flag reappears. Finally, the original colour flag returns. It's a testament to how well the film is done that the filmmakers make us dislike those elephants even before they ridicule Dumbo. Hey, they stole my doll! But the curled up position he opens in is just too cute for coherent dialogue. If the ultimate purpose of Disney character animation is to make us feel for a character, then Dumbo is one of the greatest achievements in the medium. Aww. Fair warning, folks, there's going to be a lot of dolls throughout. Logically, Casey Jr. shouldn't be anthropomorphized at all, so it says a lot that we're glad he is. He is, after all, the little legend that could. The elephant car changes layout frequently enough that this should cover it. It's not the race issue the film is known for, but all the men setting up the circus tent are coloured. What about the Caucasian workers earlier?
We work all day, we work all night.
Though this working song they sing is quite catchy. Aww. This sequence is basically cute Dumbo moments placed around setting up the circus, and it's all the better for it. I dig how the gorilla regrets his outburst and then hastily replaces the bar. Just how many employees does the circus have? We didn't see men of this pigment before. Another thing to love about Dumbo is how his movements strike a balance between a real baby elephant and a cartoon one. These moments are really cute in and of themselves, but it's even more emotional knowing they get separated very shortly. It's by no means the only reason, but having Dumbo never speak is one reason why the film is perhaps the most fable-like of all Disney films. Another one is how the film is edited such that it takes the form of multiple pantomime vignettes in sequence, giving it a scenes from the life feel. The filmmakers do a good job of making Mrs. Jumbo's outbursts be justified, but also not making bad guys of the men stopping her. We can see both sides, even if we only sympathise with Mrs. Jumbo and Dumbo. Focusing on the shadows cast by prison bars on a prisoner is common cinematic energy, but it's all the more powerful in animation like this. It's a subtle thing, but both Mrs. Jumbo and Dumbo are making the same movements as when she cuddles him, shows how heartbroken they are.
Gib, always gossiping.
I think Timothy speaks for a lot of us here, folks.
What's the matter with his ears? I don't see nothing wrong with them. I think they're cute.
It's not the main reason, but here's the first why Timothy is the audience surrogate, replicating all our feelings for Dumbo at every point throughout. From where Dumbo was previously, the matriarch was on the far side of the group, yet when he approaches them, she's on the side he approaches from.
Oh, I'll do something about this.
The moments where both Timothy and we know what's coming are great comic build-up. All the elephants in the group had hats, yet here we see a few with none. The idea of having a mouse befriend Dumbo, given the stereotypical ammonicity between the two species, may be an obvious one, but when the resulting relationship is this warm, it's brilliant regardless. Dumbo involuntarily shakes hay off his head here, yet there wasn't any there moments before.
Lots of people with big ears are famous.
What's great about this topical reference is, though it refers to Clark Gable, it can easily apply to someone from any generation, so it's not dated at all. Most of the goofs I've highlighted are ones you'd never notice, but you definitely notice this jump in the animation even without me pointing it out.
Good night, Joe.
Good night, boss.
Joe Grant was one of the two main men who developed the story of this film. Could the Ringmaster's employee being named Joe and talking with the Ringmaster be a nod to Joe Grant and Walt Disney? I'd like to think so. Timothy manages to hit the balance between being sweet and caring for Dumbo, but having enough comic edge to be funny too. Timothy's mouth closes between shots here.
He jumps from a springboard.
Timothy jumping hides it somewhat, but there's no lip syncing for the first two words there. The sequence is really fun to watch because of how fleshy and bumpy the elephants are animated around each other. It really seems believable. The elephants' costumes change between shots here. The number of elephants switches between 7 and 8 a few times. Dumbo's runaway and springboard weren't there for the whole scene before. They appear only as he is introduced. Aww, too cute. Why exactly do all the light sources stop when the tent collapses?
Let us take the solemn vow.
It hurt the matriarch to raise her trunk previously. She sure gained a higher pain threshold for this vow. There's got to be some regulation against fire in a circus. That's way too alive to be fake fire. The water barrel scientific label is inaccurate. The 2 of HGO is raised up in superscript rather than lowered down in subscript. Just before Dumbo lands, the baby rattle he was holding is missing. Aww, poor guy. There's a few times where the clowns' voices don't match their silhouettes. Darn it, I just want to reach out and hug Dumbo. You know, sympathy doesn't cover it. Dumbo is so visually appealing, especially in these moments, that we want to shield him from all gloom. Here, we really do take the place of Timothy. Where did the toothbrush Timothy left on Dumbo's head go? Mrs. Jumbo can barely reach out the bars here, yet she reaches a fair bit further throughout the sequence. I don't think anyone would argue with me stating that Baby Mine is one of the most sweetly sad moments in cinema. It's made all the more effective by the way we're seeing it all from Timothy's point of view. Those tigers got 5 cubs delivered earlier, then there were 3 adults in the cage, sans the cubs. Here, the cubs are back, but they're too short. The sound design and mixing again, folks. These are just some of the best examples. Many a Disney film kills a parent off, but not one of them reaches the emotional levels of a parent being separated by the indifference of others. A parent's death can be digested. Knowing that she's right on the other side of bars and can't be reached, that's much crueler and harder to take in.
Let's hit him for a raise.
Honestly, the knowledge of that being a character of the infamous 1941 Disney strike makes it less funny than before. Never is hiccuping being this charming, folks.
Oops-a-daisy.
Another case of sub-zero lip-syncing effort. It's an easy mistake to make, but elephants don't drink directly through their trunks. They just use them to pump drinking water into their mouths. The 20 seconds listening to Timothy in the bucket are just fantastic. The tipsy moments they have before it truly gets weird are a nice goofy counterpoint to the warp sequence that follows. Timothy's mouth doesn't move when he speaks there. Dumbo's collar pulls a Houdini. Hey, it's performing. The jokes are context. This sequence, folks. This sequence, Pink Elephants on Parade, is a nightmarish masterpiece of design, animation, and music. Of course, the dizzying blast into this drunken stupor doesn't even somewhat resemble actual intoxication. But when these are the results, it's just plain silly to point that out. While I certainly wouldn't want to watch it endlessly, its application of squash and stretch techniques in service of a hallucination, and the usage of neon colours married to jet black backgrounds, well, it's proof of the power of animation, and it's still unmainstream even today. The usage of watercolour backgrounds makes the film more soothing, and getting us safely out of that sequence is as good an example as any. Oh boy, better buckle up folks, there's a lot to say here. The crows are stereotypes. Not especially offensive stereotypes, but stereotypes all the same.
Just look down here, brother.
The part that's a legitimate problem is the main crow being named Jim. Space absolutely forbids me explaining it in full here, but you all get it, I'm sure. The end of the cigar that's lit alternates quite a few times throughout, folks. It's easy to miss, but Dumbo's trunk is longer than normal here. Timothy was right in front of Dumbo when he woke up, but is gone when Dumbo falls off.
Did you ever see an elephant fly?
Well, I seen a horse fly.
I seen a dragonfly.
I seen a house fly.
That said, the crows are genuinely entertaining to watch, and entertaining for being appealingly comic, not because they are stereotypes.
But I be done seeing about everything when I see an elephant fly.
Plus, they sing the film's best song, and I'd rather not entertain the notion of disregarding when I see an elephant fly. These two crows swap positions here. Seems Jim Crow likes to swap clothes unannounced from time to time. They do show affection for Dumbo, just let it be known that, while they are stereotypes, they are portrayed in a positive light. Here, Timothy is right next to Dumbo, but when Jim approaches him in the next shot, they're back behind Dumbo a good bit.
Use the magic feather. Catch on?
I do really dig the way they help out Timothy. It's an old trick, but it hasn't lost any of its charm. The notion of an elephant actually flying does put us in kids' fantasy territory, but oh, how wonderfully joyous territory it is.
When I see an elephant fly.
That reprise, folks, and that's just a build-up reprise.
The magic feather was just a gag. You can fly. Honest you can.
Cliched? Yes. Effective? Absolutely. The film hits the right balance of Dumbo playfully making fun of those who made fun of him without it seeming even a little cruel. Ha! Brilliant. The newspapers have several great gags. He's still known as Dumbo, not Jumbo Jr., even when he's now respected. They do truly regret how they treated Dumbo, and while that's no excuse for the way they did, it does make the ending happier. Hey, first reprise of When I See an Elephant Fly. This reprise will see your reprise, and raise it. Mrs. Jumbo's hat loses its wavy band here. The way that shot's processed just looks off. Pity it had to be the last one. The film is, perhaps, the first Disney family film rather than an everyone film, and that direction did eventually lead to the ghettoizing of Hollywood animation. But when the film is this charming and innocent, you can't blame it. Dumbo is, and will forever be, a precious pearl of cinema. One last word on the crows. Politically incorrect racial representation is just something that happened then. If we were to discount all films with that problem, we'd be discounting many masterpieces, not all of them made by Caucasian men. Are the crows a problem? Yes. Do they invalidate the film? Not at all. 1. Right in between Snow White and Pinocchio? Yeah, that sounds about right.